DTM Asayak, Kerry Wilson, Kyriakos Kikis and the Gravy Brothers. Find out which one of these acts is our very first Saturday evening winner. And then be a star maker. Just look at the lucky six, then pick up a phone and vote for a victor. Find the details in your Radio Times, because when opportunity knocks, you can open the door.
Bob says opportunity knocks, 7:45 Saturday.
Now on BBC One, it's time for another adventure in space and time with Peter Capaldi and the Polis Box.
Quarantine session! What do you mean, oi? Mr. Quarantine session!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, pull up a seat, get out your textbooks, turn to page 174 and place your bets on how long we'll be able to go tonight without making a joke about dripping wet lesbians. Welcome to the Polis Box Live. Tonight we begin our trial of Series 10 of Doctor Who in earnest with the pilot going before the court. This episode centres around an alien species that attempts to hijack the love interest of new companion Bill Potts by travelling around using a variety of water-based means. Initially starting their pursuit by taking advantage of a pool of suspect liquid leaked from their spacecraft onto the tarmac of a service yard in a university campus. Talking of which, I'm joined as ever tonight by two men who themselves are fast approaching the age where they'll be inadvertently leaving small puddles all over the floor. It's Cameron Phillips and David Cummings.
Hello.
Around university campuses, so I'll take that one.
I thought that's where that was going as well, actually. I thought, arrested outside university campuses, etc., etc. That's what I thought that was going to be.
Fluids. Absolutely.
Yes, but we went the fluid option instead.
Yeah, everyone, it's time once again for the Polis Box Live. You can. Sorry, I'm getting really distracted by Tom Baker then in the bottom right-hand corner.
Well,
I was trying to do like a secret reveal, but then I realized my name's in the bottom corner. Who's the special guest? Who's behind Tom Baker?
Who's behind the mask? Let's find out.
Who's behind scary face Tom Baker?
Because once again, we've thrown open the courtroom doors tonight and we welcome back a man who's been relentlessly busy since his last appearance on the Polis Box Live. Beside his day job as a filmmaker and editor, he's released not one, but two whole episodes of his podcast, I Hate Doctor Who, all the while effortlessly maintaining his new role as E3 Supremo, and some say the saviour of the video game industry itself. You may know him as Lorne Lanning, but to us, he'll always be the one and only Mr. Richie Morgan.
Why did you do that? I didn't know you were going to do that.
Some say it's your finest acting role, Richie. But you're this close to Dylan Reese not being the only guest on this podcast with an Emmy. I'm just saying. That's how good it is. How are you, Richie?
Like, hey, what, get out my house? I don't know. That was a terrible job. Sorry. Long silence.
So, Series 10 begins in earnest tonight. We're going to be putting the pilot on trial. So, without any further ado, shall we just get into it?
Probably should, yeah, because otherwise we'll be here all night.
Although, do we not usually talk about the last episode first?
We do. Shall we do that now?
Just saying. We can if we want. That's how we usually do it.
We
don't have to.
The format after all.
Up tonight, Dave, just to keep the viewers interested. But no, if you want to stick to tried and trusted.
You're in charge.
I mean, I may have only put out 2 episodes of my podcast in the last year, but at least I remember how it goes.
Thanks for joining us, Richie. So we'll be back next time. He's not getting a third episode now. That's him done. Series results so far. Let's bring those up and have a little look, because last time we had the return of Dr. Mysterio. That was a 50-50 result for the first time in God knows how long. The judge's decision ultimately went to not guilty, so Cameron leads the series at 1-0 with 12 trials remaining.
So glad I remind you to do that.
Half the audience enjoyed Dr. Mysterio.
Yeah. Half didn't though, so.
Half didn't.
Right then, enough of all this caper. Let's get on with it. It is time to go back to 2017, the rock and roll years.
Yeah, get it right.
We'll get it right, yeah. Will the subject of tonight's trial be written off as a bit wet, or can it keep its head above water? Let's find out as we put the pilot on trial. The pilot was written by Stephen Moffat, directed by Lawrence Goff, and produced by Peter Bennett, with music by Murray Gold. It starred Peter Capaldi as the Doctor, Pearl Mackie as Bill, and Matt Lucas as Nardole, with Jennifer Hennessy as Moira, Stephanie Hyam as Heller, and Nicholas Briggs as the voice of the Daleks. It was broadcast on Saturday, the 15th of April 2017, and the viewing figures were 6.68 million overall. Those are the facts, the stats, and the numbers out of the way. So all that really remains right now is to call this court to session.
This court is now in session. Order in the court now. Can't nobody smoke now.
The trial of the pilot is now underway. Here's who's doing what tonight. Dave is going to be prosecuting the pilot, and Cam and Richie are going to be defending the pilot. Before we get started properly, there's just enough time to remind you that you can get in touch and give us your thoughts on the pilot tonight. All you have to do is send us a comment through the live chat box on this very YouTube video you're watching. We'll put them up on screen as they come in. And also, voting is now open. So, based on the arguments put forward by Cameron, Dave, and Richie tonight, you get to decide whether the pilot is guilty or not guilty of crimes against Doctor Who. The final decision, as always, is yours. Go to our Twitter page at the Polis Box. You'll find the poll there, or clicking the link in this video you're watching in a little description at the bottom. That'll take you right there. We will reveal the results at the end of tonight's show. So, without further ado, it's time for this.
This is the law. Chapter 1.
Once again, we've invited you, the audience, to take to the witness stand and tweet us with your viewer evidence on the pilot. So let's have a look and see what you've all been saying. First up tonight's future guest on the series is Daniel Ronsley, the voice of our globe. Says Moffat's most confident opener since the 11th hour. Grumpy Capaldi finally gets to be gregarious Capaldi, and he, Mackie, and Lucas make a wonderfully eccentric TARDIS team. It's something of a Doctor Who greatest hits medley, leapfrogging through time and space, climaxing with what else? Daleks. But that and the university setting are absolutely the fresher the Moffat era needed. I watched it just after Jodie Whittaker was announced, and that made a lot of Series 10 even more fun, knowing what was coming. Propulsive and fun, plus Valerie Brannigan from Gridlock.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sounds positive. Pretty positive. I'll take that. He is.
Okay, let's see.
Sorry.
Sorry. That's what Dan thinks. Let's see what Sean, the Mondasian psychic, has to say about it all. He says it's not the best episode, but certainly isn't guilty of any crimes against the show.
I'll also take that.
It's not the best episode. I'll also take that. Yeah.
Oh.
I guess we can all be in agreement of a really ambiguous statement like that.
That's the way it works.
You say ambiguous, I say finding positives and negatives in it. I mean, you can say that safely. You're a guest. You're not going to be back next time, are you? So we have to do the comments. Thanks, Richard.
Well, I know it's live. I know it's live.
Well, let it out and post. It's fine. Gareth Foley is next to give his view of Evans tonight. He says it's a refreshing Moffat-era tale. Free from the shackles of Trenzalore, Amy's crack, Silence, the impossible girl on River. It's allowed to breathe and stand on its own as a story. It works pretty well in that way too.
No.
Mm-hmm. No, says Dave.
No.
Okay, all right, fine.
Okay, all building up well. Next up is our friend from across the pond, one of our trio of regular Joes. Is Mr. Joe Llewellyn, who says, pretty solid series opener, loved Bill from the start. Capaldi is awesome as usual, not guilty.
Not guilty. Objection.
Yes.
Hold on, but was that the defence objecting to?
No, sorry. I quite
understandable,
do enjoy
really.
the objection.
I think Richie's had a Phoenix Wright moment there. I got the reference, Richie. It's okay.
Well, then you shout objection. Someone goes, so you played Phoenix Wright.
Yeah.
And finally,
in the middle of the most heinous trial of your life. I'm getting big Phoenix Wright vibes off this.
Yeah.
No further questions, my lad. Take him down. Finally, on viewer evidence tonight, it's Mark Harrison who will be joining us for a Twice Upon a Time episode right at the end of this series. Mark says this New Who needed more soft reboot episodes more often, and I think this is an underappreciated example. Capaldi and Mackie hit it off right away. The plot is leisurely but packed with stuff, and the bigger on the inside reveal is an all-timer.
Yep.
Agreed.
Strange enough,
Good.
I don't agree with that, but there you go.
Yeah, I mean, if we just agree with the comments as they come in, do we need to present? We don't really need to present any.
What the viewers say.
Sounds about right. Make up your mind.
We'll just cut the episode off now. We'll just have to go. Yeah.
Well, trial by media.
Absolutely, it's how the modern world works.
Yeah. What's the paper saying?
Okay, before we get to the trial, we've had a couple of comments coming in. Joe Llewellyn, who we've just spoken about, says, hello, greetings from Northern California.
Oh, wow.
Hello, Joe. Greetings from south of Scotland.
Just as exotic.
Yes, of course.
Lower middle of
Scotland.
Yeah.
These three are more the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're also kind of near the south, just because of the angle we're further north.
Yeah.
And also been in touch is Mark Donaldson, who says, hi guys, I'm having a disappointing kitchen disco listening to the Polis Box.
Wow.
The word being disappointing.
Yeah.
Does that mean he's like? Does that mean he's like slow dancing around his kitchen? Oh yeah.
To our dulcet tones, probably. Okay, let's get things started then. Let's get into the trial itself. As usual, guests go first. So, Richie, do you want to give us your first point on the defence of the pilot, please?
Well, I'm going to cover some points that have already been raised by the audience, but that's fine. I think the first thing I've got written down is that, as Mark pointed out, it's a lovely soft reboot. I don't know if this is fact or rumor, but was this series maybe not going to happen? And this is like a sort of bonus Capaldi season.
I think he was due to leave the season before. I think that was the idea, wasn't it?
I think Moffat was due to leave as well, and then
Moffat was due to leave. Yeah. And then he got kind of convinced to stay on for one more year, and this is kind of like that year.
persuaded
Yeah, so it's nice to have this little kind of bonus season. Now, my opinion of the season is a bit all over the place. The last, like the finale, is like one of my most favorite episodes ever. I really love this episode as well. So it's a bit like the interest curve is like a sort of big smile, which is what I have when I'm watching this episode. But
it's a good job you're here now, Richie, and not later on.
I know. Well, that's why when the episode list came in, I was like, I'll take the pilot.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Anyway, so
I'm glad.
As Mark pointed out, it's a nice soft reboot. I think it does. It's very Doctor Who. It's very modern Doctor Who, and I think it's like it does this nice thing of like it doesn't have too much baggage, but it still very much embedded in where it is in its sequence of stories. It still acknowledges its history and its references. I think one thing that Stephen Moffat does really, really well is he works with like the lore of the show without being like references. It's like he picks it apart and he does sort of nice little thing. I like all the stuff with the TARDIS in this episode. The joke about, it's a disguise with the words "pull to open" on it, and but it's a nice story. It's a good starting point for, say, a new audience. And you're right, like after years of the name of the Doctor and Trenzalore and all that sort of stuff, it's just nice to have a really straightforward episode, and it's like it does this clever thing. I like that it was called the pilot. I remember when the episode was announced, it was a nice little thing where it was like, we're calling it the pilot. It was like, so it was very much on the cards that we were getting a kind of soft reboot, but also putting the Doctor University, it's like it's still Doctor Who, but the setting feels different. The characters feel kind of different, and it's just got this new lease of life. And it's just, I'm going to start there. It feels very new, and for someone who's in their last year of writing the show, and for a Doctor who's in his last year of doing it, I think that's quite an achievement. And
yeah, I think the questions that Bill asks, you know, when you're trying to introduce somebody to Doctor Who or any sci-fi that you like, and you're sitting there watching it for the first time, and they point out all the stupid shit that you kind of ignore because you know it's stupid. That's the questions Bill was asking.
Yeah.
It's guys, but it's really, really obvious. And it says push to open. Shut up, right? Just shut up and watch the story. That's what those questions were, which is nice because that kind of felt like it was a reawakening, a reboot, the soft restart.
Yeah, I love how Bill really gets put through the ringer as well in a sort of in a kind of nice way. in a fun way.
Them fun ringers.
Yeah, a fun ringer. Yeah. A fairground ringer, like a ringer ride.
Yeah. Not too fast. Teacups, not like. Yeah.
I'm trying to think on that point, and she is brought in pretty much deliberately by the Doctor, and then slowly becomes a companion, rather than what I consider the usual of somebody is in the middle of something, the Doctor arrives and rescues them, they become the companion. I don't know if the Doctor's ever actually chosen somebody and brought them in like that to travel with them.
Well, it's kind of it feels a bit like he's kind of holding back. I was going to say he's holding back urges there. That's not what I meant, but he's like holding back this need to do what he does, and he's very much like on the defensive, and then this whole thing happens, and it's just a great way to be like, and we're back. We're going back in. We've had a wee rest. The Doctor's had a wee rest, and now we're going to sneak out. It's nice, that naughty feeling of him sneaking away is good as well.
I think as far as we're talking about a soft reboot of the show, I found myself when I revisited this comparing it to the series we've just had with Shooty and whereas there was, but in the way that this feels a lot better because it does reference the show's history in a slightly more economical way. Shooty was equivalent to this with Ruby, was effectively just to sit in the TARDIS and go, well, it's called a TARDIS and it's a time machine. And he had this like 5-minute just exposition dump to introduce anyone who's new to Doctor Who to this is the rules of how it works. Whereas in this story, we effectively get an entire 45 minutes, 50 minutes, however long it is, of a beginning to end story, but incorporating everything that Doctor Who is along the way.
Yeah. I think that's something that Moffat does really, really well, because he's just a man who's obsessed with Doctor Who, and he's obsessed with everything about it. And he's obviously spent his entire life thinking about it. But I think what he does really well is he picks apart some of those details, or he can create a fresh take on it, because he knows everything that's come before, and he knows what he's doing, and he's just got a good mind for a sort of a comic spin. But I also find that his humor as well isn't too, it doesn't take you out of it. It's just a nice, I feel like this, I was watching this episode and I was thinking of it was very much like everything that modern TV shows and your Marvels and all that, it's exactly the kind of tone that all these things love to get, and I think it nails it without being too, it doesn't veer into annoying, and it doesn't veer into too serious in another direction. It's just this lovely balance of funny, but it works within the context, and but it makes us laugh because it's good Doctor Who humor. Doctor Humor. See that? I wish you could edit this. I'm hating this as live.
That's why we're paying you the big bucks tonight, Richie. That's why you're getting the top appearance fee. All the rest of these lives we get on.
But it incorporates it all without alienating a new viewer, I think.
Come on, Dave, tell us why it's full of tired old tropes.
I'll go straight into my first point for the prosecution with this one then.
Absolutely. Okay. On you go.
It's called The Pilot. It's a soft reboot. What the fuck about this has been rebooted? All right, so it's a soft reboot. So it's going to be a new Doctor. No, it's not going to be a new Doctor. All right, but all new companions. Well, apart from the one that was in the Christmas special. But apart from that, new companion. All right, so it's a new companion. Tell me about her. So it's a black lesbian. No, wait a fucking minute. You've just been sent by the Daily Mail to wind them up, haven't you? No, it's real. It's a black lesbian. All right, we'll go with that. And what's this woman's name? It's Bill. So, all right, so is that a nod back to William Hartnell? Is that a proper nod back to that? No, she's actually named after Billie Piper. Because the writer heard David Tennant call her Bill, and he thought that's a good name for a woman character. So the writer heard David Tennant say that. So it's not a new writer either. No, it's Stephen Moffat. All good. So we've got the same Doctor as last year, the same companion as the Christmas special, the same showrunner. Character named after previous actress. But it's a soft reboot, so at least we can, maybe make it look and sound different. Murray's doing the sound again, mate. It's like, what the fuck is the reboot in this? This is not rebooted anything. But all right, so we'll do this story. It's a soft reboot. We'll go with it. Who are the bad guys in this? Right, is this puddle that wants to eat the lesbian? All right, that's different. So no Daleks in this one then. Well, there might be a Dalek in it. Fine, it's a reboot, but it's not, because it's all the same stuff that Doctor Who keeps doing. And to an extent, that is the problem with Doctor Who at the moment, as well as other times. It keeps refreshing the same stuff.
Just all of its history.
Have we slipped into something else here?
You get a showrunner that goes,
I'm talking about the same episode.
Yes. You get a showrunner that goes, right, I've done too much, I'm tired of this, I need to leave. And then comes back and does the same shit they got fed up with last time. And all the fans go, oh, it'll be different this time. Oh, no, it's the same shit as last time. I hate this programme. But it's all right, because there's a new Doctor Who showrunner next year. Who is it? Oh, him again. All right, then. And that's what they keep doing. And they keep selling it as a reboot and a refresh, and it's not. You can basically go, right, so the Daleks are going to be in one of them. There'll be an exposition scene explaining how the TARDIS works for the new viewers. And it's all the same. There's nothing reboot about this. So the fact that they called it The Pilot is just offensive, because there's nothing new or piloty about this. It's like calling a new series of EastEnders The Pilot. It's bollocks. It's all the same. Same as it's always been.
To be fair, though, they do differentiate between pre-COVID and post-COVID EastEnders now by calling everything since the pandemic Series 2.
Exactly.
Just imagine the size of the Series 1 box set.
Do we sort of counter argue? I can never remember how to do this. Do we counter argue or?
Yeah, you kind of jump in and then you can counter argument.
Richard, I barely remember
kinda,
from the week how to do this, so you're fine. Don't worry.
Sometimes you kind of jump in and you're actually kind of thinking about what you're going to say, like 3 words before you're supposed to say it, and you kind of end up waffling. But it's fine.
Yeah.
The other thing
on you go, Richie.
The only thing I was going to say is that the key is in the term soft reboot. And it's not really it's not a reboot. It's like, we're at the start of a new period, a new story, a new kind of chapter. I don't want to say era because it's obviously not a new era, but it's definitely like, back. It's just raining. We've reined it back in a bit. We're in this new place. We've got Capaldi's a wee bit funnier, a wee bit less grumpy, and just a wee bit more comfortable and having fun with the character. And we've got new characters. And it's not necessarily. I mean, I know that's what I was just saying. I mean, it could be. It's a good jumping on point for a lot of people, but it's not. It's not like a full-on new show.
No, it's not like they've taken it and done the US version of it or anything like that. But it's
No. Yeah.
It's not. I wouldn't even say it's a soft reboot because it's, as I said, it's the same characters, the same showrunner, the same music. The man that can travel
there's
through time and
always
space in a different location.
There's always that thing though where you hear about the Doctor, either there's a new actor taking over, or it's the same Doctor but there's a new companion going to come into it. There's always that kind of speculation about how the show is going to feel with their relationship being the core of it. So from that point of view in this, there's that there's almost like kind of doubt and maybe a little bit of cynicism from some quarters as to is it going to work or is it going to not. So it's a definite cutting off point for that and a jumping on for something fresh, because obviously the show survives mainly on the relationship between whoever's in the TARDIS at the time. And as we know, some phases of the show were maybe not as good at that as it can be and has been. I mean, obviously we think Katie Manning and John Pertwee, one of the best combinations in Doctor Who history, but then we can compare that with Peter Davison when he had Nyssa having a headache every second episode and hiding away in the TARDIS because they had so many characters they didn't know what the fuck to do with any of them. So from that point of view, yes, it is a reboot in the sense that...
Why don't you head back in and just have a wee lie down? We'll see you in a bit, all right?
Yeah. I said, Nyssa, there's Daleks outside. Oh, I've got a migraine. All right, okay. You're the lie down.
Take a couple of ibuprofen, you'll be fine by episode 4.
Okay, well, I think, I'll okay, maybe I'm going to concede to Dave a little bit here and just say, I guess maybe...
No, don't do that.
No, just hear me out. Maybe calling it things like the pilot, he's right. Maybe I shouldn't be saying he's right, but what I mean is it is a show that's constantly resetting and reinventing itself anyway. So why does this feel like we should talk? It's more of a point. Does that make sense? Maybe it feels like it's more of a point because it's like a restart from it's a different kind of restart in the sense that we've still got the same Doctor and we've still got the same writer who's got a new companion. But that itself is a new beginning, though, isn't it?
But at that point, you can argue that every season opener was basically a new beginning, because almost always a new Doctor or a new companion or both.
Well, if there's any change up, then yeah, it is.
Yeah.
If there's any kind of messing around with the characters or the swapping out folk, or if someone's come on that's new, then yeah, it is. It's a new phase of the show.
All right,
and we're lucky in the fact that Doctor Who is able, in a story sense, to facilitate that.
Yeah.
So
you hear that, Dave? You're lucky. You're lucky.
Season 1 with a new Doctor, obviously. Season 2, we got Tennant, new Doctor, therefore it's a reboot. Season 3, we got Martha, it's a reboot. Then we got Donna, that's 3 reboots out of 4 seasons. Season 5, oh look, new Doctor. Season 8, new Doctor.
Can I jump in and say that maybe we've lost track of talking about whether or not this is a good episode.
Welcome
No, you can't.
to the Polish Box.
Someone is leaping to Dave's defence here. That's Gareth Bowley, who says that the word reboot should be on trial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He also goes on to say, this is a fairly good point. If the pilot is a reboot, then so is Time in the Rani by comparison.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, fine. It is. It's new stuff being introduced to the show. That comment is presented like it's a problem.
Are you calling it
It's like no, I'm not saying no. It's presented like the fact that it's changes is a problem, not the view. No. Excuse me, the judge is putting words in.
Sorry. I was going to say, I think we're the reason we're having this is because, I mean, whether you like Moffat or not, we can all agree that it got a bit weighted with complications and heavy lore implications, and why did he run away from Gallifrey, and he's dead, he's not dead, he's going to die, and he's going to die again. And and all that sort of stuff. And then this is just a story about a mad puddle. But one thing I felt like there was definitely a sense of wonder kind of in this episode, and I felt like it just re-injected this basic sense of I think having the Doctor as the university professor or whatever he is. It's just that classic basic thing of enjoying watching someone be good at something, watching them show off and be really cool, and it gives them an opportunity to do all that. And it just gets back to basics of the Doctor is quite cool and this thing he has is quite cool, and we're all doing some mad, wonderful things with it.
There you go.
Yes.
The delay? Do you know how we have this delay in this? It makes me feel like everyone's like, what the fuck is he on about?
It's really good for anxiety, isn't it? A little delay where you think, oh, fuck, I said something wrong. Yeah.
Don't worry, Richie. If you thought that, it would tell you to your face.
Yeah.
It makes for a better podcast. It just antagonise the guests. On the point of Peter Capaldi, or the Doctor, rather, holding back his urges, Daniel Ronsley says, holding back your urges is not that kind of a Moffat season.
And that's exactly my point. It's not that kind of a Moffat season. We know what a Moffat season is. This is not a fucking reboot. It's the same.
All right, we've all had a drink.
I'm jumping into soon. I realise Cameron's next. His point's next.
No, carry on, mate. If you want to carry on, it's fine.
Well, I was going to say my next point on this was that this feels like very much like the best of Moffat in terms of, there's good humor, there's great twists on stuff that we already know, there's some good spooks as well. There's some proper, like that moment when she meets her in the dark, and there's some really good proper spooky shit in here. So it's like you've got the spooks, you got the laughs, you got the grandeur of the Doctor. I feel like as well, I feel like there's some. I don't like Sherlock, right? I don't like Sherlock, but I think there's some stuff leaked from Sherlock in this. Again, just in terms of the Doctor showing off and being flashy, I always think that Stephen Moffat writes the Doctor the way that he does because he's fucking in love with the Doctor.
Yes.
And that comes over in this quite a lot. So this feels like if you were to take if you were having an argument about Stephen Moffat, I think you would take an episode like this and be like, this is pretty much a representation of everything he does well.
It's much like everything he does. It's a representation of everything he does, starring the actor he hires for everything he does. That's it. I think you're slightly wrong. It's not that he's in love with the Doctor and that's how he writes him. I think he writes the Doctor how he would want to be as the Doctor. Because when he wrote Coupling, that was about him and his relationships. So all the characters are based on him at different points in different relationships. And I think he writes the Doctor in the same way. It's, if I was the Doctor, how would I want to behave? And he's cheeky and he's suave and he's funny. And I think that's how Moffat wants the Doctor as him to be.
Surely all the showrunners do that to a certain degree, though. They're bound to. If they're writing that many episodes, they put a bit of themselves in the Doctor. So it's not.
I have a theory about Doctor Who fans. Like Star Trek fans, everybody wants to be the captain, but Doctor Who fans, nobody wants to be the Doctor. They want to hang out with the Doctor.
Nah, I don't want to be the
everybody
captain.
wants to be a quirk.
You don't want to be the captain, okay?
No, I want to be number one.
What end? Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah,
he has a lot more fun, doesn't he?
Yeah, I want to do the Riker sit every time I go out near any chair. I'm just not flexible enough anymore. But I think that
when Genesis in 1972, what a band! What a band!
When Moffat's writing the Doctor the way he would want to be as the Doctor, it removes some of the alienness of the Doctor. I was going to say alien mystique, but it's not. It's the alienness of the Doctor. So Moffat's Doctor is a very human Doctor, which isn't always to his benefit.
This is probably the second time in sort of this era, there's that word again, that the Doctor's had like a kind of like a quote unquote normal job.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the Caretaker would be the first one.
Yeah.
Also Stephen Moffat, obviously. And this is probably slightly more logical than that, because if you're an alien that would travel in space and time, then you probably would lecture in quantum mechanics or something like that, or physics and things.
Yeah, I never really believed he was doing all the Caretaker stuff. Like he was running around with a coat on. You didn't see him changing the toilet rolls.
No.
Whereas like in university, you can see him doing that and marking papers because they're fun to read. You can see him doing that job.
Did you see him
in this episode
at any point? No, you didn't. Not a proper
exactly. The Doctor unclogs a toilet. You know. In this episode, using a Dalek's arm to do it, you know.
Get down there, Rusty.
Sonic screwdriver. He'd use the sonic screwdriver and accidentally flush all the toilets in the building or something.
Just see him stand there waving it, going, "It doesn't work on jobbies."
It's a sort of sophisticated humour that keeps people coming back to this time after time.
This site is deadlock sealed.
It's one captain's log you can never shift.
No. So yeah, I where were we? Yeah. University lecturer. Yeah, it's the natural progression for what the Doctor would be if he was given, you know, a bit of time on Earth to just, you know, be normal in inverted commas. Or he could be like, you know, as part of a bi-generation making potato salad in someone's garden. That's the other option, it would seem.
Yeah. But
do you want the thing that annoys me most about the whole? I mean, we'll probably end up with a fucking Big Finish spin-off about this very thing, but like, you know, the 14th Doctor's coming off. Let's just have a wee side thing here. 14th Doctor's obviously coming off a bit of a bout of burnout, right?
Yeah,
that's what it's all about. It's been a bit too much. 6 weeks I give him. And then what?
Yeah.
Are we supposed to believe that he just has he just lives in a house for the rest of his life?
Oh, according to some, she says he's been teaching there for years, which is just bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we already know as well that the TARDIS keeps moving. Like there was the rug thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's been sneaking away. Although also is the Christmas Day? Is the last episode meant to have taken place halfway through this episode? Is that the insinuation?
I never thought of that before.
What as it as?
Yeah. The events of the
maybe,
studio take place in the gap from where he disappears in the TARDIS.
Yeah.
In the Christmas Day section of the pilot when Bill comes to visit.
Yeah. Yes,
That would make it a bit like Resident Evil 2. the one disc was halfway between the other. Then you played the B mission.
It's exactly
yeah,
like
sorry.
Resident Evil. Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
goes to
it's
show how
like, yeah,
much
this
Stephen
episode-
Moffat can knit into an episode. The talent the
Oh,
man
yeah.
has.
I have a big theory that Stephen Moffat's a big gamer and he keeps dropping in video game references in each episode. I can't remember what episode it was, but there was a lot of BioShock in one of them.
Heaven Sent's very Dark Souls, isn't it?
Yep, that's what I mean. See, you can just see stuff in. I've got a theory that Stephen Moffat's a gamer.
Yeah, I was a massive fan of the one where he turned up at a treasure island and met an egg that could walk.
Yeah,
that's for you, Richie. That's for you.
Thanks, man.
It's got little boxing gloves. Love the fact we're determined to confuse any American audience we ever have.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't believe someone's brought up Dizzy and it wasn't me.
Yeah.
Incredible.
That was my fail-safe tonight, just in case you didn't mention Dizzy. I had it ready to go.
Oh, man.
So, who makes the next point? Must be Dave. You must be ready to.
Thanks for pointing out, Lee. Yes, it is. I like the Lee. He's good at this.
Shall I go?
Welcome to I Hate Doctor Who.
Back to you, one.
Do you guys know about the when I was fooled into doing my own podcast?
Yeah.
I must have told you that. Yeah.
I mean, we filmed you into doing this as well, so
Yeah.
Thinking you're coming to something slick and presentable, but
The thing is, Richie, we're gonna have a break, and then after that,
yeah, I've got Gav and Owen and the other fellow in speed down.
Yeah. Everyone's gonna just pop up.
Oh, okay. I think it was Cam next because you've not had a point of your own. Cam, said,
I don't think I have. Yeah. Okay.
Not come to you yet. So, do you want to the defence of the pilot, please?
Will do. This is probably one of the better companion introductions in the modern series, as it puts a whole lot of focus on Bill, her home life, her job, and how she's willing to learn. Her line about needing a pee when she first gets on the TARDIS is probably the most relatable thing anyone's ever said upon climbing aboard. In the sense that, I was surprised when I rewatched this episode how much Bill's in it. And usually when you get introductions for companions, you don't use, as we've said previously, it's usually the Doctor enters somewhere and saves this person, and then they go, oh, well, I'll travel with you. But in this, a lot of it's a very sort of Bill-centric episode, and that's not to its detriment. At no point are you sitting there going, God, the Doctor's not in this enough, really, is he? You're not doing that, because Bill's story is really, really good. And Pearl Mackie portrays her fantastically, I thought. And I think we had it in the viewers' comments at the start, but the chemistry between Pearl Mackie and Peter Capaldi in this episode and onwards is absolutely fantastic. And it's nailed down pretty damn quick.
She has a lot to do. And she has two quite emotional scenes as well. Yeah. The only thing that was really weird was the fat story at the start. It really jars. You're just like, oh.
The what story?
The fat.
Well, she tells a story about Fancy and the lassie, and she keeps giving her extra chips, and then she makes her fat.
But as part of her character, I think that was great, because it's basically like, when she's like not sure what to say, Bill will just fill in silences with random nonsense, and it's made all the better by
the moment itself is fine. It's just one of those things, especially in like 2017. You're like, are we doing fat jokes? Are we?
Yeah. It's not really a fat joke though. She doesn't turn around and go, I really fancied this lassie. I fed her loads of chips because I thought she was cool. Now she's a fat minger. I'm not going anywhere near her. There's none of that.
But that is basically the story.
It's not a fat joke, Cam.
That's what she says. I found her really attractive. Then I realised she was fat. The end. Like, that's a joke at the expense of a fat person. That's a fat
The
joke.
weird thing is, though, the lassie's not that fat.
Nah. If it's the same
You know.
lassie.
If it is the same one,
Maybe
maybe, yeah.
Mildar, because she reminded her of her.
Possible.
Yeah.
Maybe, sorry, I didn't mean to trip you up there, because no, you're right. Bill is like a. Do you know what it is as well? See, I don't. Again, we won't go into like the new series, but when you watch, coming off the back of the new series and going back to watch older episodes, and when a companion has something to say and do and has a character, it's like, oh, fucking hell.
Yeah. I mean, I kept comparing it to the. I kept comparing it to the modern series, and it's just like, this is way better. I don't want to be one of those guys who kind of goes, "Oh, Doctor Who's gone rubbish" and all this kind of stuff. I don't want to be that guy, but I've rapidly reached the conclusion that as a 43-year-old fella, Doctor Who's not, I'm not the primary audience for this anymore. No, I need to kind of come to terms with that.
It's a shame though as well, because she's sort of fallen through the cracks a bit, because Pearl Mackie never really gets recognition, does she?
No,
not
at all.
All the other one-season wonders, you had like Martha, Donna for a time was a one-series wonder, and they've got all this attention. Pearl Mackie's largely just forgotten about, undeservedly so.
They have, that TARDIS team has become kind of the connoisseur's choice, though. Definitely, like they're the ones that get harped on about on Twitter the most, I think, and I think it's well deserved, because I think they're a great team.
Yeah,
it's just a shame, like the big story in the middle fell a bit flat in its arse, but yeah, like I think it's almost a shame that they only got one season, but I guess maybe them having one season as well is probably what makes them so special.
Yeah, if they'd have gone any more, would it have?
The new Liz Shaw.
She's the Black Liz Shaw. That's what. Yeah, should have loved it. Yeah, where were we?
Just wrapping up Ham's anxiety now. That's good.
I was going to burn another one of my points, arguing against you.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously this is a bit of a rip-off of My Fair Lady. We all know that. But Bill is not in any way the right character for this, because she comes in, she's cheeky, she's funny, she knows she's smart, she's got banter straight away. What age is she meant to be? Like, obviously she missed the chance to go to uni, but she's still relatively young, so she's what, 18, 19, 20? Roughly there?
Probably early to mid-20s, I'd say.
Yeah. Right, early to mid-20s. We know very little about her to an extent. Like, what's the story with the woman she lives with, who has photos of her mum? Is it like adoptive family, friend of the family? Is it? I've looked up and it's her foster mum, but at no point is that explained. She just lives with this random woman who has a box of her mum's photos in a cupboard, and it's never explained. And the woman doesn't look that much older than her, so it's a bit of a weird relationship. Which also means she has weird relationships with everyone. That's Bill's problem with the character, because she makes a lassie fat and goes off her. She's got a weird relationship with her flatmate / foster mum. This university lecturer asked her to come to his office, so she turns up in like a vest top going, "All right, let's be all chatty. Look, I've got banner." But then there's nowhere for the Doctor to really take her to make her more outgoing, more confident, more understanding of the universe, because she's already outgoing and confident. So it's really hard for me for the Doctor to develop her character, because she already comes in with a great character. All the Doctor can really do is give her a lift, and that's about it. Like that's all the Doctor largely does, is drive her around a bit.
I would say that the mother situation, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there to suggest a mother-daughter relationship, just in terms of like how they interact with each other. I think that's shown quite clearly. And then she has a dead mum. I think the audience would put the rest of it together, probably.
Yeah. We never do see her again after this, though, do we?
But don't we?
Yeah.
Do we not see
It's
her
kinda
because
done,
there's
it's
the
clear,
after with the
yeah.
Pope and all that? And
She's out on a date and things and
Yeah.
other stuff. Yes.
But also, she's not important. She's not. She's just sort of set dressing for Bill's life, really. It's just like, this is where she is. She's not got it completely together because she's still living with a parental figure, but she's got a dead parent because that's going to be important to the story later on. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that because I kind of feel like she, it doesn't have to be overly explained or overly complicated. As for the Doctor isn't looking for a student. I mean, he is. Sorry. No, I just said I realized that was completely wrong when I said that because obviously that's exactly what he does. But in terms of for the companion role, he's just looking for a pal,
a body,
yeah,
something warm. Yeah,
he's got just somebody he has a good relationship with,
I think also he's maybe recognised the fact that Bill has maybe confidence in other parts of her life, but maybe not academically, when he sees that she could be, because she's obviously willing to learn because she's turning up at lectures without actually ever being a student. And as we'll see later on in this series, she does go on to have an academic career as a result of this. And if the Doctor hadn't sort of stepped in and went, well, you could do this because you're smart and intelligent, then, she wouldn't have had that opportunity. So I think the Doctor recognising that is important to Bill's development later on.
I've worked out what the Big Finish spin-off will be from this.
Carry on.
Capaldi's
Could be
Doctor.
anything this Big Finish.
It's the same thing as he did with Bill, but with loads of different individual students. So each story is a different student coming into the Doctor and having their first adventure. And then at the end, after it's all gone tits up, he mind wipes them. On to the next CD. That's what it'll be.
Oh, no. That'd be... Yeah. Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
As a side
note, no, yeah.
I won't be around for it, but the episode where they get the flat, the house, the wood one.
Knock knock.
That's just because it is the Doctor interacting with students turns out to be a sort of massively untapped source of comedy. It's very, very good.
Okay, anything more to add on that particular point?
I don't think so. Not here, anyway.
Small side note.
Okay.
The actress that played Moira, her flatmate foster mum, was also in the St. Winifred's School Choir.
She.
So that actress actually had a #1 single, which might mean that her and Kylie are the only people to be in Doctor Who that had #1 singles.
Billy Piper, come on.
Oh,
Have you
of course,
forgotten
yeah.
the masterpiece of Because We
Yeah.
Already.
Right, who else? We've got 3. Did anyone else in Doctor Who have a #1?
With a #1 record that appeared in Doctor Who.
Yeah. There will be. Viewers, if you can think of anyone, put it in the comments.
Do you mean like the actual actor or the characters? Because you could say the Beatles.
What did Doctor Distress get to?
That's more of a character, not the actors thing. I know what you mean.
Watching Mike Reed's pop quiz.
You're looking at basically musicians who've been in Doctor Who.
Or necessarily. We've got 3
comedy
actors.
signals. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. And you're talking UK #1s, not America.
How many of them have made it big in America? Come on.
Wait. There's a reason.
Billboard charts.
There's a reason because I'm trying to think of Corey Taylor from Slipknot.
Oh yeah.
Oh right, aye.
Which he's not actually physically in it, but he is vocally in it. Yeah. And I didn't know if is Slipknot have had a UK #1 or they definitely have American ones, but I don't know if it was a UK. I don't think they've ever had a UK one.
Cribbins only got to #9 in the charts.
Did he?
That's some information up to your fingertips there, Dave.
No, I've got multiple screens on my keyboard. It's fine.
Don't do the magic. Well, there you go. That's maybe something for the halftime break. If anybody's sort of got any ideas of who has had the number
Yeah.
one in America, UK has been in Doctor Who, then fire it to us. Send us a comment on
Because
YouTube.
you'd think there'd be more.
There must be.
Absolutely
We
must
have a
be.
number one with happiness.
But we've got a guest star, a companion, and a random actor. So that's like the Holy Trinity.
This is where we
Wow.
find out that Nick
This is
Briggs
cool.
had a number one in Yugoslavia at some point.
But it was just weird when I was doing the research and I saw that she'd been in that choir and had a number one. I thought it was really strange, but also really not at the
Yeah.
same time.
There we go.
Yeah.
So you put that
Two
forward as a
mental.
point. The defence of the pilot and negative.
2 episodes of Doctor Who and a number one single. It's a not bad score.
There you go. That's a career. That's a career right there.
Mm.
Right, we're creeping towards the hour mark. So, shall we have our halftime break now? And then come
Yes.
back with another round of points and any other business and summings up and whatever. How about that? We do that?
Yes.
Yep.
Good.
No problem at all.
Okay, just before we do that, just remind you the voting is now open. So, based on the arguments put forward by Cameron, Dave, and Richie tonight, you get the final say on this episode as to whether the pilot's guilty or not guilty of crimes against Doctor Who. All you have to do is click on the little link in the description of this YouTube video or go to Twitter at the Polis Box. You'll find the poll there. Get casting your vote. We'll reveal the results at the end of the episode. Just before we go for our halftime break, a few comments have come in. Gareth Bowley is here. He says, I'd rather be engineer in Star Trek than captain, a true miracle worker.
Chief O'Brien was the hero.
Yeah. Chief O'Brien goes through a lot, and you really want that role.
Yeah, but Jordy goes through a lot as well. They all do. Balana, she went through some shit.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Geordie's main problem is that he just had no friends. All his friends were either robots or holograms.
He was a horny kid. That was the problem.
You're not allowed to be in a room alone with him. It's just like Enterprise HR just stepped in straight away. Nobody approached
Are we,
always go with someone.
Are we talking about Star Trek again?
Yeah, we are.
I think we'll
See you
carry
later,
on, right? Before we get further into this, let's go for a halftime break. We will be back in a few minutes' time to continue the trial of the pilot. We will see you very shortly. And we're back for the second half of the trial of the pilot on the Polis Box Live. I'll tell you one thing though, if you ever want to get a pub quiz team together, you just come to our viewers. Because, in answer to our question earlier on, Daniel Ronsley has been in touch to say that Mr. Polis Box long-running joke had an album named after himself that reached number 11 in the charts, which is basically number one next to each other.
Yep, he did. He also did a cover of Can You Feel the Love Tonight?
It's just next to your ear.
Yeah.
Does say we can make our own John Barrowman joke here. Needless to say, we can insert our own John Barrowman joke here. So there we go. Actually, Daniel does give us some answers to the question. Serious answers. Brittany, McFly, James Corden, Fizzy Rascal, the 2010 World Cup cycle shout, and Peter Kay, 3 number ones in the pop charts. So there you go.
Peter Kay has had 3 number ones.
Yes.
Yeah, because he did the charity singles, didn't he?
Yeah. And people will buy any old shit like that. So,
I mean,
Yeah.
Brittany and McFly, they're. Oh no. McFly had a cameo, right? But see you later, Cam. McFly had a cameo.
I've been saying James Corden, he's off now. He's had to, that's it. McFly were in the end of Army of Ghosts, Doomsday, were they not?
No, did they not vote for Saxon?
Oh, that's right. Aye. Yeah, they did. Yeah.
I was going to say, because I saw Brittany, and I was like, well, a Britney song. Brittany's not
been in it.
But yeah, anyway.
But yeah. Peter Kay and James Corden are both the number 1 hits.
So there you go.
There you go.
An almost definitive answer to that question. Thanks, Daniel. Cam has, for some reason, vacated the building, so we're going to go him next. But Richie, do you want to give us another point for the defence of the pilot, seeing you're the sole remaining member of the defence team?
Yes, I've got a list of points here. Hold on, let me choose one that I don't think we've... Okay, I'm going to go for Murray Gold. I think Murray Gold's on top form in this one. I think there's a lot of given that he's been doing, at this point, he's been doing Doctor Who for, 12 years?
Yep.
Anyway, I think it's really, really good. And I specifically want to point out, there's the moments when, the sort of creepy moment where Bill meets Heather in the university grounds in the dark, and the music's just doing some great stuff. Not in terms of big themes or anything, but just lovely tones and sounds and textures and all that sort of stuff. And I just think he does a really good job of injecting a real, just to repeat myself, he injects a real sort of feeling of wonder into the whole thing, and just a little tinge of horror. But definitely it's got that kind of dangerous, fantastic feeling that the whole episode has, and I think the Murray Gold score in this one stands out particularly. Something I'd never noticed before, actually. Well, in that way that a good soundtrack, you don't really listen out for it. It's just sort of there, but it fills things out really, really nicely, and it takes it to lovely places. See you later, Cam.
Yeah. I'm glad he's left, but the serial killer stare was putting me off a little bit, I'll be honest.
It was a bit disconcerting, wasn't it? Imagine that bearing down you at night.
Great. He disagrees with me. He's on my side, and he's just, I can't say anything because he's gone off to scream into a pillow or something.
That's every episode of the Polis Box. He's back, but he's got his microphone switched off.
He's back on his phone, but he ain't muted. He can hear you.
You're on mute, Cam.
There we go. Speak now, Cameron.
Sorry there. Hello.
Yeah. Awards at. Yeah, you're back in the
charade.
I was having a bit of trouble with my headphones because they were Bluetooth connecting to my phone, but they weren't actually. I could still hear Richie throughout the entire house. Everyone in Curlbridge could hear Richie.
Sorry, everyone.
Okay. So I thought I would have a grand idea of moving to something with a bigger screen, but then I tried that and it just kind of glitched out again. So back on the phone. Don't bother having big expensive laptops to podcast with, or microphones or cameras or shit like that. Just use your phone.
Yeah, pro tip: just use an iPhone or any other mobile phone. Other mobile phones are available.
A pro tip is usually just doing anything that Cameron isn't doing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pro tip: don't live in Kirtlebridge.
Yeah.
Live vaguely near civilization. You're half the battle won then.
Yeah.
Okay, then Dave, do you want to give Murray Gold's score a kicking?
Not really, no. I quite like the score. It was quite good. It was traditional Doctor Who Murray Gold score. It's what you'd expect. I mean, it goes back to my earlier point that it's not a fucking reboot. So, yeah. It was fine, good, standard Murray Gold music. And a fine, standard, relatively shite story. He did well with what he was given to work with.
It's different enough, though, because it's not quite as bombastic as previous series. Like Richie says, there's touches of kind of nuance and atmosphere here.
Yeah. The exception of the 12th Doctor's theme kicking in, there's not really. It's all mostly sort of. He's a lot like that in the most recent series as well. Actually, there's not a lot of songs. There's not a lot of I'll stick that on. It's just, but it's good because it's just it's a lot. It's a bit subtler. Not that you could ever accuse Murray Gold of being subtle in any way, but
no.
Apart from the purposes of this episode.
Yeah.
We all have to say things we don't believe from time to time on here, Richie.
It is well soundtracked for what it is, which is all the praise I will give it.
I think Murray Gold's score is a bit like the laughter in a sitcom. It gives the illusion that it's funnier than it is.
I thought you meant it was really creepy when you take it away, which it probably is.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more on that? We've just decided that Murray
No.
Gold's just honks away like he always does.
Yeah.
No argument whatsoever.
Yeah.
No argument,
Murray
my
Gold,
lads.
isn't it? But let's
Take
be
him to
honest,
themselves.
the problem
Murray
with Murray
Gold is
Gold is
honking.
eventually we're going to have to defend something he does the music for. So I'm saying it's fine for what this is.
For what this is.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see if Dave's been playing it safe for that one. Dave, how about you don't play it safe? Give us your next prosecution point, please.
Cool. So we are now what, an hour and a half into this? Nearly, yeah. So about 3/4 of the way through the episode. We haven't really talked about the baddie / threat in this rebooted story because there isn't one. It's a fucking puddle that follows you. That's it. That's the threat. And it'll
There's
look
a
at
thing
you
in the
and
puddle,
lick
though.
you. Yeah, but how does that thing get represented by a fucking puddle that moves? Could
And a hand going out of the puddle.
Yeah, a mop would have
And it
done.
has a voice.
Yes.
Here, I'd never noticed before. Do you know when the puddle grabs Bill's face and pulls it? I never noticed before
stretches
that
her face out.
it stretches her face, and it's quite horrifying.
Oh, it does it?
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, it does.
I noticed that either.
Because I watched it for the final prep time on my big telly last night, and you can see it. That is pulling her face out,
Mhm.
which is one of the things that could have made this a really good threat. But how many times have you watched this episode, especially lately, Lee? 2, 3, 4?
A couple of times this week for this, yeah.
Yeah, and you hadn't noticed that.
No,
This is a threat.
it's a
that
very
literally
brief
pulls
shot,
people's
though, isn't
faces
it?
out of shape.
I mean,
Yeah.
It's like a couple of seconds at most.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's a
It's
fast
easily
cutaway
missed.
to her being
Easily
dragged back. So
So it's a great idea for the threat that it can do that to you, but it's not shown properly. There's probably loads of stuff about this that could be really threatening and really scary, but it's never really properly shown. Partly, I think, because the pacing of this story. Almost the entire first half is the Doctor and Bill kind of getting to know each other and hints of the alien threat. And then we've got a 5-minute chase scene. And then we meet a Dalek, and then it's over. It's really badly paced because the first bit is really nice character development. I'll say that for it. But then by the time we get to the threat and they get chased, it doesn't feel like it's a big long chase across the universe like it's meant to be. Because they go, oh, we're in Sydney. Oh, it's here now. Let's run away again. Oh, we're somewhere else. Oh, it's here now. Let's go back. And it's that long. Like the edit you did at the start of this episode where you showed the chase scene, you can't have cut much out because that's pretty much all of it.
that's true, actually. It's not much left out there, was there?
They could have done a really good sense of impending doom as it gets closer, and it's going to pull your face off, and it's properly scary, and it's in every bit of water, but they don't. It's utterly wasted as what is a really good threat. Like, obviously, it reminds me a bit of Wars of Mars, because water.
Yeah,
is a
I
threat
thought
again.
that. Yeah.
But Wars of Mars, there was really good doom and chasing because it was a base under siege story. As soon as the Doctor realizes he can just run away every time it gets close, it turns into Scooby-Doo. And that's all it is. So they've got this really good idea for a threat. And instead of making it threatening, they make it comedic. Which I get might be because they knew the ending and they wanted it to be that almost happy ending where Heather gets to travel the stars and Bill can go with her if she wants. And it's all kind of nice and sweet. But the thing in the puddle has killed lots of people. We know that because there was lots of disappearances. And none of this gets mentioned again. They switch from it's a threat, we have to run away, to, oh, it's fine, she just wanted to leave. You can let her out of her promise and she'll be fine. And it's the pacing means that you never get a sense of threat. And the threat is never used properly because there's so much potential there. And it's a shame because, as we saw in Wars of Mars, it is a really good threat that it's in the water. I think it's underplayed.
there is only so much you can do in a 45-minute episode that it has to introduce the next companion, though.
It's funny. I was thinking about this when I was watching the episode about an hour before it was time to do this. But I did wonder if like Stephen Moffat had a notepad of like villains, and he's like, okay, if I've got an episode that's actually mostly just about the characters, then I want one of these mild nothing villains. I mean, obviously, I know it's a setup for like the finale and all that sort of stuff as well, which I really appreciate, because it's like, anyway. My point is, one, it's not Waters of Mars again. We've got Waters of Mars already, so we don't need to do that again. My second point is that the whole idea at the end that they've they have misinterpreted it as a villain, when in fact it's just a sad girl puddle, a sad girl who's been absorbed by a puddle, and that's just dangerous. That's just dangerous to be around. So it's like, it's that whole speech about like, you know, things generally aren't evil; they're just hungry, and all that sort of stuff. So it's kind of coming back to that. So, and the chase scene, I think it plays out all right, because it's like, he just goes through. He's like, okay, we'll just head downstairs to see what happens. Right, we're going to head to the other side of the world. We're going to head even further, and now we're going to take it through a war. And as Lee said in his unbiased,
entirely neutral. Yes.
I think a big part of it is that the episode isn't really about that. Isn't kind of what the episode's about. The episode's about this sort of Bill and her life, and her meeting the Doctor and all that sort of stuff. So you need one of these kind of lighter villains that you aren't going to, you know, dwell on too much.
Donna got the adipose in her first episode.
But Donna had been in it already.
Yeah, that wasn't really her debut, that one.
No. All right, Martha got the Jadoon, which are threatening.
I know, but I think
they were going to kill everyone in the hospital.
I think this is the point we're making earlier, but it's kind of a different type of episode.
Yeah.
If we're talking about the quality of the sort of villain in this, as it were, I think if you're gonna like introduce a girl who is effectively a combination of the T-1000 and that young lassie from The Ring, then that's pretty cool. You know what I mean?
It did give us some pretty.
Yeah.
I have this weird, because I'm such a terrible people pleaser. I really have this horrid reaction to having to disagree with Dave.
Don't, you get used to it.
Yeah.
I feel like such a dick.
Nah,
it's fine. Trust me, I don't value anyone's opinion apart from my own. Doesn't worry me at all.
See?
Yeah.
There you go.
So you can go to town on him now, Richie. Just
Yep.
let it all out. Okay.
I'll never be a good lawyer. I'll always be like, well, maybe he's got a point, you know?
That's why you're a defense lawyer. You find the shades of grey.
Yeah.
Okay, anything more to add on that one then?
I think
What about the
Cameron's
quality
right.
of the main villain?
Yeah, Cameron's right with the comparison to T-1000, because there's a bit where that comes up out of the floor as well. And what
Yeah.
she does pretty much in every scene is she comes up out the floor and then they run away. And that's about it every time. So I can see the comparison, except that actually is a threat. Like, at no point do we actually see the puddle harm anyone.
We just confirmed it pulled someone's face off.
It tried to. She's still got her face.
Yeah. She could have. It could have been a very, very different proposition had Bill gone to this rest of the season with no jaw to speak of.
Why did she only do one series? Well, she couldn't deliver the lines. You know, it's
Just hanging down like that, you know. Oh Christ! Out of context, this could be so misconstrued.
Yeah, but we're still not Dan Hadley, are we? So
No.
The shot of her face in the puddle and that side view of her face coming out the puddle as well is so... It's absolutely gorgeous. And there's a really lovely theme of like danger and beauty sort of tying together in this whole episode as well. Like being tempted
it's a
into
really
some
nice
danger.
shot, the
And
way she's in
ultimately that's
profile.
what kills Bill. This life, you know.
Mm-hmm. Personally, if I was to have one thing against this episode, it's the fact that having someone with literal stars in their eyes didn't lead to a Matthew Kelly cameo. You know.
Tonight, Matthew, I'm going to be wet.
just 1/3 of Marty Bello.
You wet.
Okay. Well, now we've got the Matthew Kelly reference out the way, like we do every time Richie's here. Let's go to the next point for where we going. Prosecution next, was it, Dave?
No, that was mine.
Yeah, Dave
Okay.
just made a
That was Dave's.
Yeah.
I'm only asking because my notes are all shot to buggery because we've not kept in order tonight. So then I guess it'll be Cam then. Cam, do you want to give us another point for the defence of the pilot, please?
I think this episode handles genre and kind of mixing it quite well. But my favourite sequence in this entire episode is the bit where Bill comes back to the flat and the water's running. Because I know we always say stuff about, you know, it's as close as Doctor Who can get to horror being in a tea time setting or whatever. But this was really bloody good. It's my favourite couple of minutes of the entire episode is the kind of tension of Bill being in that very darkly lit flat and then realising that her foster mom's out and that there's no one else in the flat and wondering who the hell's in the bathroom. And then it all goes a little bit psycho, kind of the reverse of in the fact that, you know, someone's behind the shower curtain, you know, pulling that one back and then culminating in the eye through the plug hole kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was really well paced and just so well done. And Pearl Mackie, again, I'm going to give the flowers to Pearl Mackie because she pulls it off brilliantly. Avon Pickin, a couple of minutes that sort of elevates this episode from good to really good. It's that sort of 2 or 3 minute sequence.
There's two small problems I have with that scene. One is that they ruin it in a few episodes' time by basically having the Pope in her bathroom on the toilet or whatever he's doing, which completely negates this. Like, at this, she's scared, she's confused because there's somebody in her flat. 2 days later, she's like, oh yeah, there's like a priest in the other room. Oh well. That's my first problem with it. It's a great thing, but then they undercut it.
Right. To be fair, an intervening gap between this episode and then, she's been to an alien planet. She's been back to Victorian London. So the Pope popping out your bathroom probably isn't going to seem that much of a deal, is it? It's happened to us all.
There's a big difference between a scary eye and your plug hole and the fucking Pope, though, isn't there?
Hopefully.
In terms of fear levels, I know what I'd be more scared of.
The Pope.
The Pope.
The Catholic Church, yes.
I won't add it as a point, but I think one of the things I really love about it is the photograph stuff with the mum. And it's like, again, it's very kind of subtle because it's like an appreciation of, you know, I think other bits of Doctor Who would just be like, let's take her back in time to meet her mum. That'll be nice. Let's take Van Gogh forward to see his fucking paintings in an expensive museum. Like, you know, that sort of level of like, just, I think there's something really lovely and subtle about the photograph thing because it's just like, it's not interfering too much. It's kind of appreciating the value of who Bill's mum is in her life and just being like, you know what, just going back and making sure there's more of a record of who this. Again, it all ties into a fucking rubbish episode later. But right now, it's just this lovely little moment of like
Calm down.
a gift, of, like memory, you know. And I just think that's such a nice, subtle idea for a time travel show, rather than just being like, we'll just head back. She was alive once. I can take you. I'm sure I can. I'll get you. We'll get you a pizza or something.
I'm enjoying the thought now of Richie being an upper boat pitching these episodes to this when we take Van Gogh to look at his fucking paintings.
in a big posh art gallery. Fucking hell. That'll be one of the most popular and sort of like touching episodes of Modern Who. Van Gogh just fucking about in his own museum.
Don't need to spend the money, just get a postcard to fucking sunflowers. We'll be sorted.
There's something wrong with me. I see that episode and I'm like, oh, fuck off, man.
It's now not a good time to point out that's Dave's favourite episode.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm sorry.
What for? Again, it's your opinion.
No, of course.
It's fine. It's allowed. You don't need to please me, Richie. You can't anymore. You're dead to me.
But that went
I
well.
I made that point particularly well, but I think I was trying to say is like it's a lovely subtle, but like a nice little lump in the throat moment.
It must be really nice for her when she realizes that the doctor went back and took photos of her mum. Not at all creepy, mate. Like how there's the other Big Finish fucking spin-off box. The Doctor and Bill's mum. How did that happen? How close was their relationship?
They clearly spent a fair whack of time together as well, didn't they?
I was about to say that not every idea has to be a Big Finish box set. And then I said that in my head and thought, every Big Finish box set is like that.
Yeah.
So ignore my point now. Just let's move on.
What's that? Sorry, Dave, carry on.
I was going to say there's some quite personal photographs and quite personal locations of just her. And they were taken by the Doctor. So
do you think there's a suggestion there's a wee bit more going on there?
Did the Doctor finger her mum? I don't know. I'm not saying that.
Now, there's a Big Finish box set.
Oh no. Oh no.
Definitely a greater, like with the whole time, his time and relative dimension speech, someone a bit cleverer than me could probably tie that all together. But that's not what we've come to expect on the Polis Box.
In that case, shall I do what we've come to expect on the Polis Box? Hey Bill, do you miss your mum? I do.
You've taken that moment where Richie just gave us the best review we've ever had, and you've soiled it. You've brought it into the gutter.
You'd think she would mention
why
that.
We can't have nice
more
things,
often.
Dave.
The fact that he was friends with her mum, and she just never
Imagine.
mentioned.
Can you imagine the Big Finish box set? Like it fucking ends with the mum being killed by a fucking Zygon or something.
I mean, if you want to get really weird with it, she doesn't know who her dad is.
Oh God!
I was thinking that when you started that train of thought.
Yeah.
That there's a script.
Wonderful.
Yep.
There we go.
We could have
Just
spent
wonderful.
an entire season wondering who her dad is, and then get to the end and find out it's nobody, and it's actually our fault for wondering
Yeah.
who the dad was in the first place.
Just my
It's the greatest thing we've ever done. Tetley tea right up your nostrils.
Phil Collinson spending 70 grand on a street sign.
But to
It
actually
was
go
there,
back to
it wasn't
Cameron's
there,
earlier
was it
point,
there?
Yeah.
Sorry, anyway.
the scene with the bathroom. Do you know
Yes.
what my other problem is with it? She comes in,
You're gonna
here's the
tell me.
bath run. She comes in, here's the bath run, and says, "I'll make you a cup of tea for the bath." Who the fuck has a cup of tea in the bath? That's just weird. Sorry, but it is.
I take shot.
You more of a Pepsi Max man?
He's about a fag in
You're
the
going to tell
shower.
me you take showers with a cup of coffee now, aren't you, Cameron?
I take showers and I drink coffee, so I don't feel qualified to comment on this.
He doesn't take the cup in with him. He's not an animal. He just is a big curly
No,
shit.
I'm not sitting there with my Costa mug, just killing it.
So I'm not going back there.
A big hamster ball, yeah.
Yeah.
I really wish I hadn't done that.
Imagine
on
a
camera.
cup of tea in the bath, you would be fucking roasting, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bright red face, like, oh.
You're watching the Polis Box live, a Doctor Who podcast. Sponsored by
What
Costa.
was it like to have a cup of tea in the bath? 20 minutes of discussion. What's the
You need to
best
set up
drink to
one of
have in
those-
a bath, do you think?
Well, something cold. We've already established this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever.
A wee bath
not
shower.
live dangerously. Live
For a
dangerously,
shower, you
having
need
a 7-Up
cold
and a
beer.
hot chocolate at the same time. A little bit of roulette going on, a bit of danger.
Maybe a couple of chicken wings in a bowl.
Yeah, aye.
Yeah. Floating away there.
Can you imagine if you drowned in the bath that night?
If you with a shower, you'd want something with you want like a carton, like a Ribena with a straw.
Yeah.
So the water doesn't get into the.
Some sort of system.
Oh, nice Ribena. Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. Or maybe would one maybe even indulge in a Capri Sun? But
Capri Sun,
you have to be careful not to stick the straw to the end of the bag. That was always a pain in the arse.
Yeah, it goes all the way through. You're suddenly sitting in an orange flavored bath. You don't want that.
Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want that. Well, you say in flavour like you would drink your own bathwater.
Hey, each to their own, Cameron. All right.
A cup's fine in the bath. A cup's fine in the bath. It's not like when you go to get your haircut and they make you a cup of tea, and within 30 seconds you've got hair in your tea. You're like, I don't want to drink this.
I've never been offered that. I must go to the wrong hairdressers.
Yeah, you know when we're talking about
When you were
Star Trek,
younger, you used
you
to
left
go
the
for
room.
more expensive haircuts. Oh,
Cam, it's because you live in Kirtle Bridge. You just get sheared by the nearest farmer. That's it.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I just go down the road. Just
in between the farmer's knees, and off you go.
There's a big tank that I have to walk through and then get out the other end.
I really liked how Richie was sort of sitting there theorising all these ideas for drinks in the shower like he hasn't already done them. There's a ring of truth to that Ribena story there. Greg's in a Perspex case as well, just, We know you, Morgan. We know you. Okay, any more to add on drinks in the shower or anything else to vaguely associated with Doctor Who would be nice, given the last 10 minutes?
I'm sure the doctor said a drink in the shower.
Yeah,
Now,
but
If you want to bring it back to the point.
you know he's got a sonic shower. That's it.
Oh,
Does
yeah,
the doctor?
yeah.
Do you think I just wonder what the doctor's personal hygiene like? I was thinking about? I wonder what the Tardis toilet looks like. Because is it a human toilet, or will they have a special space toilet?
You see, I did wonder this, and it's like, do Time Lords just piss in the same way that we do, or is it just like a kind of like you can make any room on the TARDIS whenever, so therefore you just kind of go, I'll press a button and go, there's a bog just downstairs to the left. I mean, it's just like.
If you're traveling mostly with human beings, I suppose you would have a human toilet.
You would.
Even if Gallifrey had mad toilets, the Doctor would probably be more used to human toilets by now, because he doesn't spend any time on Gallifrey.
Not really. Well, he's just, it's kind of bored, so he's just buggers off and never wants to return.
Yeah, you might also just walk down and piss in the swimming pool.
Maybe the sanitation in Gallifrey is utterly crap. Pardon the pun. So
where does the toilet waste go?
I'd imagine it's just like on a plane. They just kind of weak it out into space.
That's what
or the atmosphere or whatever.
Getting shite in his face. Oh. No wonder he's raging. Like
I'm beginning to get the impression that we've run out of points in the pilot.
No, we're
just a hunch.
We're talking serious stuff here.
Sorry,
Do you
sorry.
think the High Lords of
I'll take
Gallifrey
it.
just shuffle off and lift up their robes?
Yeah, I do.
Gallifrey and
Just on
toilets
the back of the door.
I'm obsessed with not wanting to know where the waste goes.
They just
Because
hoist
the
up the robes.
Tardis is just this massive. It might just have all of it still in there.
Yeah.
I mean, McGann's sorted. All he has to do is just like squat over the Eye of Harmony, close it up. That's that dealt with. It's done.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe there's a pipe that goes.
And of course, if they're squatting over the Eye of Harmony, they got John Barrowman in trouble.
Hey.
There we go. You can take that off your bingo card at home.
Oh boy.
I'm not suggesting for a moment that the prosecution and defence points on the pilot are beginning to run out of steam. But
What are you trying to say?
Have you got any more points you want to chuck in before we go to summings up?
Daleks in the first episode. For all the people that moaned about the fact there weren't Daleks in Rose on like night 1 in 2005. Because why do we have a Dalek? Here you go. Here's your fucking Dalek. Get going.
It was nice that it was like we had the Daleks in the first episode, and then they were like, right, that's done now. Let's move on.
Yep, and then that's it. I just think it's the culmination of, as I was saying earlier on, that kind of whistle stop tour of everything Doctor Who that the second half of this episode is pretty much based. It's like going, here we are with the Daleks' number one enemy. Yeah, have at it. Bill's basically been given a crash course on the entire thing, and that's how it works.
I like the story about how when Mark Gatiss read the script, he said to Stephen Moffat, "You should make that the Movellans."
Yeah, exactly. Which is like, again, another one of those nice references in the fact that if you don't know, you'll just be like, there's these guys fighting the Daleks. Okay, they're fighting in this kind of war zone. Fine, no problem at all. If you know, you're there going, fucking hell, it's Movellans. You know, and that's pretty cool. And it's not a point of view, he doesn't sit there. If it was, I maintain now, if they repeated that kind of thing with Ncuti Gatwa and Russell T Davies was writing it, you'd have a whole line kind of going, that's the Movellans. I remember fighting them years ago. And they did this, I did this, and they were robots and they couldn't work out. And there's battle programs against the Daleks and blah, 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 blah. And it would just be, yeah. Whereas this is just like, literally just, here's your thing. There's a few seconds of it. Cool.
Does she ask him who that is? And he's like, it doesn't matter, or something like that. I can't remember. I'm sure there's a line like that.
I can't remember. But
like,
it's not like dwelled upon. It's just there for whoever's,
No, yeah.
no, not at all. So yes, big bonus, Daleks in the first episode. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not been Daleks in the first episode since the last series when there was Daleks in the first episode.
But as a kind of like lead in for Crash Course in Doctor Who.
Because it's a reboot, obviously. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Absolutely.
No, I think you're right with them throwing in the odd reference the Doctor Who fans will get. It's like when they decide to run away and they go 23 million years in the future and end up in a fucking quarry. It's a nice little reference for Doctor Who
nice
fans.
CGI flowers, though.
They were spray-painted plastic plants from IKEA, and we all know it.
Do you want a guy in a big sort of detective Mac punching someone in the background?
Always. Why would you not?
Just as a general
that would be
life, nothing to do with Doctor Who.
Yeah, just a general life. Just there you go. Duggan. Be great.
Dave, any points you want to chuck in before we go to summons up?
Not really. No, I've kind of run out. I've gone through everything.
Richie, you got anything you want to chuck in?
No, I think we're pretty well covered.
We've got another trivia question in the comments.
Oh, right. Let's go to the comments then. Okay, Daniel Ronsley says, this is only second episode in Mono Doctor Who in which a Dalek gets wet.
I'm trying to think what the first one is.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was the first one?
Is it not?
Dalek, I suppose.
No.
Yeah, but the sprinkler's going off, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, that'll be it, yeah.
The Dalek coming out of the water and fucking in Dalek Invasion Earth.
Oh, that's true. I comes at the Thames, didn't they?
Aye.
Who's that?
Yeah.
He says modern Doctor Who, though.
Oh, sorry.
He said modern.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, modern Doctor.
Oh, he does.
There we go.
I'm sorry, Daniel.
So yeah, but he says modern Doctor Who. So
Oh, you must have been right. There would have been a good 10 seconds there. He'd be fucking fuming at me.
some of them,
Raging.
some of them Daleks of Stonehenge must have been getting a bit drizzly.
Well, I mean, Gareth Bowley does make the point that aren't all Daleks slightly moist?
Well, yeah, I think the slick would be the word. Slick is what I would say.
I don't like slick either. But you're right. I mean, they are kind of gross and wet.
Yeah.
You don't get this in Radio Free Scarrow, do you?
No.
Oh, okay.
We're all racking our brains for wet Daleks.
While we mull over the biggest question of all, before we close the vote, let's have our summings up. Dave, do you want to give us your summing up first? Do you want to tell us why, give us the overall view of why the pilot is guilty of crimes against Doctor Who?
It starts with the title. It's called The Pilot, but there's nothing new about this. It's the same Doctor, the same magic moving box, the same story writers, the same music, the same baddies, mostly. The only things that are new are the companion, which we spend far too long getting to know, and we don't actually know anything about her, and the evil alien, which isn't even evil. We've got half a story split in two halves, and that's it. We don't get much in this. We barely even touched on the comedy companion of Nardole. That's how little he brings to this. It's My Fair Lady, then it's Scooby-Doo. There's not much to this. It's really quite bland. Most of my notes are like one sentence digs at this. So there's nothing new, even though it's called a reboot. The bad guy's really underdone. Basically, what this sums up is it's a dinner lady and a puddle. That's it. There's nothing new. There's nothing exciting. By the end of it, we're all back to square one. The Doctor's got a new friend / pet. That's it. It doesn't bring anything new or exciting, and I think for that reason on its own, it's guilty of crimes against Doctor
Who. Okay. Richie, do you want to give us your summing up? Why is the pilot not guilty of crimes against Doctor Who?
I think the pilot is sorry. I think the pilot is wonderfully back to basics. I think Bill is a great character. I think she's something kind of different, something that we've not seen before. Her seeing the whole thing through her eyes brings a great energy to the whole thing. I think the episode is fun. I think it's funny. I think it looks amazing. I think there's a real, I'm going to say it for the third time, I think there's a real wonderful sense of wonder and excitement and danger. And it's kind of, there's a kind of a general sexiness to the whole thing like that. Also just watching Peter Capaldi having fun as the Doctor is really, really good. One line I want to mention, it was quite subtle, but the bit where she goes, "Do you know any sci-fi?" and he gives this look, it's just perfect. The perfect Capaldi eyes when he looks up at her and he goes, "Go on." So yeah, I would say that this is not guilty of crimes against Doctor Who, because I think it's wonderfully, not only is it wonderfully Doctor Who, it's wonderfully new Doctor Who.
Okay. Cam, do you want to give us your summing up? Why is the pilot not guilty of crimes against Doctor Who?
Doctor Who is a show that has been through many different chapters, and we're lucky that the format of the show is able to support this. In this series, we're seeing something of a soft reboot. The pilot works so well because everything about Doctor Who in one entertaining episode. Rather than have a scene in which the Doctor just waffles away to a new companion, something we've seen recently with Shutigatwa, the pilot actually gives us a story around it. In this episode, the relationship between Bill and the Doctor is solidified in quick fashion, We have a TARDIS tour around space and time before dealing with some Daleks. It's a microcosm of Doctor Who, and it's a belter of an introduction to this series. Not guilty, my lad.
So there you go then. Those are the summings up for the prosecution and defence. It is now in your hands, viewers. We've got a few minutes left on the poll before we close it. So if you haven't already voted, go and vote now. When we come back in just a few minutes' time, we will reveal if the pilot is guilty or not guilty of crimes against Doctor Who. Will it go to our official, unofficial canon, or will it be punted in the bin? Come back in a few minutes and we'll tell you. See you soon. And we're back. The poll has now closed. The votes have been cast. It is time to find out how you, the viewers, have voted and find out whether the pilot is guilty or not guilty of crimes against Doctor Who. Here is how you voted. "75% of you have said that the pilot is not guilty of crimes against Doctor Who. Therefore, it goes into our official, unofficial canon of Doctor Who." Cam, Richie, a success. Well done.
Was that the four of us that voted?
I can't reveal the numbers. Just how many
well,
sock puppet accounts do you have, Richie?
No, I'm glad our love of the episode is shared, and that justice has been served.
Yes, it's always a good feeling. It's always a good feeling.
You've really offended me and made me sad, Richie. I'm not happy now.
I mean, don't feel too despondent, Dave, because, you know, even though it is a very, very small window of opportunity this series for you to pull this back, there is still time with 11 trials remaining. So, you know, it's not over yet. It's not over.
Are you always prosecuting?
This series I am.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you'll be fine.
A whole lot.
There'll be a good bit in the middle where you'll be fine.
Naming the names of no episodes. So there we have it.
We know that Doctor Who fans like Doctor Who. It's never a surprise when it's not guilty.
Somebody that I was out the other night, and when they were announcing the Sea Devils thing, I was talking to a friend about it, and there was another guy there, and he's like, "Well, I have opinions about Doctor Who that I better not share." And I was like, "Are you going to tell me that Doctor Who is shite, mate? I've been watching it most of my life. You think I don't know?" It's the line in Batman.
It's
I was born into the darkness.
So there we go. It is 2 for 2 from Cameron this series. He's leading the series 2-0. So, you know, still plenty of time to pull it back. Dave, don't get too despondent. It's a long, long road in front of us. We're here to December doing this series. So, you know.
I was going to say, you got until Christmas. So.
Yeah. A couple of our comments just before we finish up tonight. Gareth Bowley on the subject of Bill's dad says, Sutek's her dad.
Sutek's everyone's dad when you look close enough.
Yeah.
Does that mean his name was? Hold on, let me think. What's his name? Keith? No, I've got nothing. I was trying to come with an anagram for Sutek.
And Gareth also settles the biggest debate we've had tonight, regardless, never mind the pilot. He says, best drink in the bath, Bubbles. There you go.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's like a celebratory bath.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. When you're celebrating so hard, you just got to keep clean.
Yeah, well, that's Richie's night tonight. He's done the hard work. He's going to go home. He's going to
have his
his bubbles, his carton.
I've been in this office since 9:30 this morning. It's starting to smell a bit male in here. For sure.
Well, before you get overcome by your own fumes, Richie, I would just like to say thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for inviting me.
It's always a pleasure to have you on. Before we let you go, do you want to give the podcast a plug or anything else you're involved in?
Sure. I do a podcast called I Hate Doctor Who. It's a misleading title. It's basically where I get people who don't like Doctor Who on, and I try and find them an episode. As Lee cruelly pointed out, it's not that frequent, but there's plenty of episodes out there for you to listen to. Although I'm recording an episode on Tuesday, and that's less than a month later, so that's something. Yeah.
In your defence, though, you do build up anticipation for your episodes, unlike us, are just here.
Well,
every
yeah,
single
you
time.
make your podcast special by only doing one episode a year, and everyone's like, "Oh God, I can't believe there's a new episode." It's a new episode. You hear there's a new episode of I Hate Doctor Who out. It's like a Kate Bush album. It's like anyway, but yeah, that's my Doctor Who podcast.
There you go. That's where you can find Richie. So there we are. That's it for tonight then. The pilot has been found not guilty of crimes against Doctor Who. A fortnight tonight, we will be doing The Smile and the company, and this is going to be barely controlled chaos with these two involved, of Rod Brown and Joe Ford, who will be joining us for that episode. So join us on the 15th of August at 8 p.m. here on YouTube for that. That's it for tonight. Pilot's not guilty of crimes against Doctor Who goes into our canon. We will see you in a fortnight's time. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.